Hello, welcome back. I am Ramdan from Unification Sanctuary, Italy. In the previous videos, we heard the second king sharing practical aspects centered on the book of Leviticus in the Bible. In this third video, the second king is sharing from a very interesting article from Dennis Prager on why Judaism and then Christianity rejected homosexuality. I really also invite you to have a look on about this article. However, I will confidently say that without the king's explanation, any article has a limitation.
Let's keep going. Go ahead.
De-sexualizing God and Religion. Among the consequences of the unchallenged sex drive is the sexualization of everything, including religion. Unless the sex drive is appropriately harnessed, not squelched, which leads to its own destructive consequences.
Isn't this interesting? The sexual drive cannot be squelched. It has to be appropriately harnessed. And that's what God did. He took, through his rebellion against Satan traditionalism, he took sexuality and harnessed it, focused it into marriage. He rebelled against, no, have sex with everything, just have pleasure. He rebelled against this culture that says hedonism and pleasure and Eros and beauty is the height of social values. He said, no, honor and virtue and marriage will be the height of society. You see how different that is? It's not pleasure. It's not orgasms, you understand? It's not beauty of the naked forms. That's not the highest beauty things. The highest things is honor. Honor is beautiful. You understand? Wisdom is beautiful. You see? Virtue is beautiful. And again, women, your wife is beautiful. This is what God says. Why? He goes into this, by the way. I'll just give kind of a synopsis. All the cultures that embrace homosexuality, including Japanese samurai culture as well, any culture that embraces homosexuality becomes inherently misogynistic. He actually he starts quoting some of the scholars in ancient Greek studies, and they're saying that actually Greco-Roman culture was actually very hateful of women. Very misogynistic. They saw women as defiled. They saw them as second class. They saw them as dirty. And then men's sexual pleasure, with women, yeah, you can do them sometimes, but they have babies. Let them have babies. But real sexual pleasure and beauty and hedonism comes from philosophy, with your philosopher friends and their disciples, your male disciples. That was where they saw the height of erotic beauty. You understand? That's nasty. Right, so what does it do? What does that do? It becomes an inherently misogynistic culture that sees women as just they're dirty flaps, dirty skin, bleeding all the time. They don't understand the beauty of the sexual drive and beauty of the nakedness, right? So women got relegated to the periphery of man's attention and romance. And what happened? Men came into the center. Animals came into the center, do you see? And women got pushed out to the periphery. But by God focusing on marriage and saying, no, only all of your romance, all of your sexual attention, all of your affection has to be poured into one woman and your wife. You can't have any affection or any sexual, anything outside of her. Do you understand? He lifted the women being on the periphery of just baby factories. He lifted them to the center point of civilization's romance. He lifted them to be the center of man's attention and not just a baby factory. While he's having sex with other men and young boys and girls in the Greco-Roman culture, you see. Are you with me, folks? Yes. So in the end, this is how the emphasis on the importance of also godly women and protecting godly, what he talks about in this article, the family unit. Judaism sees the family unit as the base of society. Whereas the pagan cultures did not. They were always destroying the society. You have incest, just cover it up. You have sex with this or that, that's fine. Everybody's doing it. The Bible even says, do not sell slaves or sell sheep or animals to pagans. Because why? They were having sex with them. They would rape the animals. So even the Bible even protects animals from being raped from Satan's traditionalism. The Bible even protects animals from being raped by Satan's traditionalism. Never thought, well, how come you didn't learn this in class, huh? How come y'all didn't learn that in class? You've just been told that the Bible is old and ancient, medieval, and it's oppressive. No. You know what's oppressive is male love, homosexual love being pushed to the center of society. That's what's oppressive. Because just like transgenderism, they come in and take all your sports away, girls. Just like all those men dress up as women and they say they're girls, and then they can run against you and wrestle against you and take up all your trophies and scholarships, by the way, because they say they identify as girls. So too does all the attention, all the attraction gets stripped from women and centers on male to male eroticism. Do you see how God's radical institution of the family was a rebellion and a revolt? It was a sexual revolution. Just not in the way that you've been brainwashed to believe. Very interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. All right, let's keep going. Go ahead. Higher religion. Okay, go ahead.
Higher religion could not have developed. Thus, the first thing Judaism did was to de-sexualize God. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth by his will, not through any sexual behavior.
Now remember, we studied this a couple weeks ago. Most pagan mythological creation stories deal with a female god and a masculine god, you know, having sex, and they're procreating, and the rain is his semen, and he's fertilizing the earth, and now all the babies are being born, right? But of course, the stories of the gods is that they're also engaging in bestiality, homosexuality. Zeus is having, you know, he's kidnapping men, and he's having sex with animals. I mean, this guy is a total, do you understand? This is the total mess. Right? The Canaanite god, El and Ashtoreth. You know, it's all this sex is through the sexuality that the universe is born. Not the will of God, right? And so when people on the pagan cultures look into the world and the universe, they see nature, all they see is sex. Instead of they don't see the artist. They don't see the mind of God. Right? They don't see the purpose of God's intention. All they see is two fake deities doing a porno show in the freaking head. You understand? And so there's no surprise that in those cultures you have all this deviant sexuality. I mean, if God Almighty is coming down as an animal having sex with women, well, then you can have sex with animals. God is doing it. Are you with me, folks? Yes. Zeus is chasing his brother's wife, and he doesn't give a crap. He does whatever he does. What do you want? Incest, everything. See, you thought traditionalism was Christianity and Judaism. See, that's how brainwashed you are. You didn't realize that traditionalism is exactly what they're teaching in universities. That's the real traditionalism. And it's destructive. Okay, next. Go ahead. No, next. Jump. Let somebody else, let Martha read now. Go ahead. Where are we at? Okay, here we go, right here. In the beginning.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth by his will, not through any sexual behavior.
Okay.
This was an utterly radical break with all other religions.
All other religions.
And it
alone changed human history. Alone changed human history. Go ahead.
The gods of virtually all civilizations engaged in sexual relations.
Okay.
In the Near East, the Babylonian god Ishtar seduced a man, Gilgamesh, and the Babylonian hero.
Okay.
In Egyptian religion, the god
Osiris
had sexual relations with his sister, the goddess Isis, and she conceived the god Horus.
Okay, next. Okay, let's go to next.
In Canaan, El, the chief god, had sex with Asherah. In Hindu belief, the god Krishna was sexually active, having had many wives and pursuing Radha, the god Samba, son of Krishna, seduced mortal women and men. In Greek beliefs, Zeus married Hera, chaste women abducted the beautiful young male
Ganymede,
and masturbated at other times. Poseidon married Amphitrite, pursued Demeter, and raped Tantalus. In Rome, the gods sexually pursued both men and women.
Okay. This was a norm. This was the gods. Now, would Jerry Epstein love this pantheon? Oh, yeah. Which one would he be angry with? Which one would the pedophile networks and Bill Clinton hate? Would they hate the God of the Bible, or would they hate these guys? Because these gods say, go ahead, you're empowered, do whatever you want. Who would that be? Would that be God or Satan? Okay. You understand? So Bill Clinton, all these pedophiles, this Epstein's the pedophile, he's actually now arrested again and tried to commit suicide, but he should get his full justice. Okay, you understand? All these pedophiles and their networks, torturing children, all this kind of crazy lasciviousness is evil, wicked. You understand? You understand? They're the gods that they love. You know, in their little, $5 million apartments, they've got little statues of Osiris and little Egyptian statues of Ra and Canaanite architecture and art. They say, this is beautiful art. I'm just a collector. No. See, this is part of your religion. It's part of your religion. You see, you're collecting artifacts from your sex cult religion of satanic traditionalism. You're a fundamentalist in your traditionalism. You rebel against the real sexual revolution that protects children, protects women, and protects the sexuality of humanity. That's the real sexual revolution. That's the real revolt against this ocean of civilizations that do this. Go ahead, next one. Next, let's go.
Given the sexual activity of the gods, it is not surprising that the religions themselves were replete with all forms of sexual activity.
Okay.
In the ancient Near Fast.
Near Fast, yeah.
And
Near East. That should be Near East, probably. Okay, Near East and elsewhere.
Virgins were deflowered by priests prior to engaging in relations with their husbands, and sacred or ritual prostitution was almost universal.
Universal. Almost universal. Okay, let's see. Go ahead.
Psychiatrist and sexual historian Norman Sussman describes the situation thus: male and female prostitutes serving temporarily or permanently and performing heterosexual, sexual, homosexual, oral genital, bestial, and other forms of sexual activities, dispense their favors in behalf of the temple.
Of the temple, which is what? Subsidized by what? The government. See, the governments do push a religion. They call it ideology, but it's really a religion. It's a belief system. It's a belief system. You could, all these people that are, LGBT, etc., they don't like Christianity. They hate the Bible. They rail against it. But they want to have every artifact of every civilization celebrating, deviant sex. And well, it's art. It's an art gallery. No, they're paintings of praise to Satan, is what they are. Or sculptures of a satanic civilization, satanic traditionalism. That's what those art pieces are. They represent satanic traditionalism. Not modernism, not progressive, traditionalism. The left, they hate the word traditionalist. They got to start being called traditionalists. They're traditionalists. They're the traditionalists. They're the satanic traditionalists. God is the modernist. God is the one that builds this kind of incredible culture that protects man, woman, child. He's the rebel against Satan and the domination of that demonic cultures. Okay, next. Let's go ahead. Switch to the next person. All right, they're Korean, so they can read in Korean. Don't get me wrong. They're not ignorant. They can read in Korean, but English is a little harder, okay? Go ahead.
Throughout the ancient Near East, from very early times, anal intercourse formed a part of goddess worship. In ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Canaan, annual ceremonial intercourse took place between the king
and the priestess. There's also in China as well. China, spring rituals. Okay, New Year festivals, all incorporated sexuality. Any of these pagan cultures, you see, this was the traditionalism, folks. This is what you grew up in. This is what you all knew. This is what your generations had practiced. This was traditionalism. But God made a revolution against this. Okay, go.
Women prostitutes had intercourse with the male worshippers.
By the way, the women prostitutes were trafficked into sex prostitution. They were not. They did not choose to do that. After they have been raped thousands of times, and been traumatized that much. Now they believe that they're choosing, right? But you know, they're so traumatized, they're so damaged because they've been raped since they're 5 years old that they don't know any other way. You understand? I mean, we just had an interview with Craig Sawyer. He's coming to the Rotterdam Festival. He's a pedophile hunter, a Navy SEAL. And it's what he says. It's real. You understand, folks? Okay, go ahead.
In the sanctuaries and temples of ancient Mesopotamia, Phoenicia, Cyprus, Corinth, Carthage, Sicily, Egypt, Libya, West Africa, and ancient and modern India.
Everywhere in the ancient world. Cultic prostitution is not an isolated thing. It's everywhere. Because why? There's no end to Satan's traditionalism and his sexual values. No end. There's no end.
Thank you very much for watching the video, and see you to the next video. Goodbye.